Now, the question that I take it to the viewer is asking is, well, is that slot an evolved kind of slot? Or to put it in slightly different kind of language, is it an adaptation that we have this natural propensity to believe in something like a God? And the answer is sort of, well, I don't think that's quite the right way to talk about it, but that doesn't mean there isn't a connection with human evolution. So let me explain. The God-shaped conceptual space is a product of, at least on my view, lots of different gadgets, cognitive gadgets or devices of the human sort of mind that themselves may have been adaptations for other sorts of things. For instance, we've got a natural propensity to scan around the world and look for what we call intentional agents, beings that think, that motivate, or that are motivated by themselves, that act, that plan, that try to do stuff and not merely react to the things around them. And they're so important to us in terms of survival that we selectively attend to them and we reason about them through this sort of gadget in our heads that we sometimes call the mind reading system or the theory of mind or mentalizing. Our theory of mind system then is one of these things in there that's looking for agents in the environment. Okay, well, some of these devices, like that theory of mind system, like what's sometimes been called teleofunctional reasoning, I explained some of these in the other video, they all together create something that looks a little bit like a God-shaped space. So what I'm saying is this God-shaped conceptual space isn't a single thing all by itself that is an adaptation, an evolutionary adaptation, but it's a product of lots of other evolutionary adaptations. So by nature, humans have lots of these different adaptations that are sort of, you might think of psychological or cognitive adaptations, that together they create a new space. And that new space looks a little bit like a God, okay? So in that sense, I'm part of the camp of theorists working in the cognitive science of religion who sort of, we consider ourselves byproduct theorists. Or that is, we think that propensity to believe in something like God is a byproduct of other kinds of adaptations, but is not necessarily think of it as a genetic adaptation all by itself. It's a byproduct instead. Evolved, yes, but not in that straightforward way that we think of, like a face detection mechanism would be an adaptation that sort of evolved all by itself for what it does. But rather, the God-shaped space seems to be pieced together or a byproduct of these other kinds of factors.